this is Margaret Schlachter here with Mud Run Guide. I'm with Darren Hillhouse, the CEO of the Urban Trials, which you guys made a splash last week in the obstacle racing community, at least on social media. So, um, thanks for being here, number one.
Yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity to, engage with the audience and arrive in the industry. So
Yeah,
yeah, excited.
yeah. So, I mean, I know that you guys had an event in 2015, and then you just didn't have an event, and now you're back for 2017 with a few events planned. So, can you talk a little bit about what the Urban Trials is and how you guys are different than maybe some other events out there?
Sure, no problem. So the Urban Trials is a family 5K obstacle fun run. Um, it sounds a lot more than what it really is, but in essence, what you have is an obstacle event that's trying to come into your city, whereas previously, a lot of mud runs and obstacle events are generally 20, 30 miles out of a city center. And we wanted to introduce something that was family friendly and sort of position ourselves as an event that really will bring more people into the sport of obstacle racing. So, we did our first event in November 2015, and I'll give you some background. We've been working on this concept since 2012, and it originates back in South Africa, which is where I'm from, my homeland. And I've been evolving this concept over, 3 years, and eventually tailored it into something that I thought would appeal to the mass market. And that's really the idea here. How do we act as an event that can attract millions of people and bring them into the fold, and then send them on to, the mud runs, the tough mudders, the Spartan races, the savage races, and so on. So the idea was have a first event in Cincinnati and try not to do anything too crazy. Just prove out certain data points. And so we wanted to test whether people enjoyed to run obstacles with their kids. So that was the first thing we did. And more than 30% of our entrants were parents with their kids. So we knew we were onto something there. Then we wanted to test whether they enjoyed a clean environment. So no mud, water, paint.
Mm-hmm.
And overwhelming feedback was, yeah, this is exactly what we want. We don't want to be covered in mud at the end with all our kids, get into a car and then go back home. So, we were like, cool, okay, this is good. And then I guess the big thing was introducing mental challenges so that we could sort of approach it with a exercise, brain and body.
Mm-hmm.
Can you engage your brain while you're going over some obstacles? And we did a whole series of mental challenges in conjunction with the obstacles. And, we had 670 people at our first event, and we had more than 50% of those people completed a survey. And of those people who completed the survey, more than 90% said we want more mental challenges and they need to be tougher. So that was like awesome. We were like, right, we are onto something. So, the idea was prove the data points out, see where we were going to fit into the market,
Mm-hmm.
and then work for another year to perfect that and get it ready for market. So in terms of market fit, who are we and where are we going to sit in the food chain? You have these super popular 5Ks, color runs, foam runs, insane inflatable, right? And your normal 5K that it happens in your city center every weekend, right? So you have these guys that are going out and doing these runs for the first time. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have Spartan Race, Tough Mudder, Savage, all the great obstacle races, great brands. And the problem that I think we identified was that you have somebody who's done a 5K, really
Mm-hmm.
wants to do obstacles, but is just too nervous to take the leap from a 5K to, say, for instance, a 10 miler with mud, with obstacles that are quite difficult. So we're going to sit in the middle and bridge that gap and bring people from the 5K, introduce them to obstacles en masse, and then release them into the more competitive Spartans. So we're up as a feeder. So we're not really competing with anybody in the industry. We really are, the entry event in for anybody coming from a fun run who wants to get into obstacles.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, I want to talk a little bit about what happened last week with you guys purchased some of Battle Frog's assets after Battlefrog closed shop, and one of those was you purchased their social media accounts, basically, right?
Yeah, so the background to that is Battlefrog were obviously winding up their operation. And from what I could understand is they wanted to close up shop at the end of 2016. So they wanted to cease trading, and that was it. And I very much was like you guys. I heard about it on the social medias. Battlefrog was canceling all their events and so on and so on. So I wasn't really part of any of that. I didn't know it was all happening. And then when it came to about December, I think it was December time, early December, Battlefrog put out something on one of the obstacle media sites, and there was something Battlefrog was selling some assets.
Yeah, that was us on Mud Run Guide. We had that. Yeah.
So I immediately got in touch with them. I said, guys, tell me what your plan is. What are you selling? And pretty much I expect that many people did the same thing. And, what I was really after was the aluminum obstacles, because it really fitted what I've been trying to do for years. And I was actually, to be very honest with you, I've been trying to produce my own aluminum modular obstacle set for months. I've gone through the design, the testing, I've done everything. Then all of a sudden, this became available. And I thought, wow, this would just save me, 6 months of time of manufacturing testing, because it's a proven product. It's a great product. And they were offering it to me at a great price. So I jumped in and I said, look, guys, I'd love to purchase this from you. Would that be cool? And you know what? We were closing the deal, and I said, what are you guys doing with your social medias? And they said, look, we've closed down, I think, the Instagram, we've closed the Twitter, but we still have the Facebook. So I said, well, I'd love to include that in our sale. And they said, no problem. And I must say, I'll give them the credit where it's due, in that they assessed it and they said, when you hand over a Facebook page to somebody, you don't get any personal information. You don't get their emails. You don't get the people's contact telephone numbers or anything like that. It's very much what you make of it with that page. And as far as their mailing list, their emails, that was absolutely, there was no way they were going to sell that to anyone. And, I spoke to their lawyers and they just said, look, guys, it's a privacy thing. You cannot sell a mailing list on. And they weren't prepared to do it. So I give them their credit. They really did look after everybody's personal information. So, yeah, so I ended up with the obstacles and the Facebook page. And that's about it.
So, and I mean, I think there was a flood of confusion last week when that transition's made. Now that page is totally transitioned over to you guys, pretty much, at least from the naming of it and everything like that. But I know do you want to talk about how you responded to all the different people? And as we talked about before we started recording, because you kind of fell into an interesting situation once the page started to make the turnover.
Yeah, sure. So, the first thing is I contacted Facebook. I know a few people there, and from what I learned was that this is quite normal. Businesses acquire Facebook pages of other businesses all the time. And I wanted to come into the industry and be completely transparent and open about what we were doing. Now, there's no easy way to merge a Facebook page, because the minute you do it, it sends a message to everybody on the page saying the name's changed. And all of a sudden, so I knew it was going to happen. The problem was that, when let's not say a problem, let's just say my approach was that I wasn't going to do it in the dead of night. I could easily have pressed the button, changed the name, and merged the pages at 3 a.m. in the morning. And everybody would have woken up and they would have been a follower of Urban Trials. But, in the interest of being open and trying to introduce ourselves to a broad market, I first went to the Facebook page and I replied to nearly 500 inbox messages on the Battlefrog inbox. And many of those people were people just trying to find out what was going on. Was Battlefrog closed down? And there were many people who had not received refunds or had received partial refunds. So there were a lot of people who had purchased tickets a year in advance. There were people who had bought in early 2016 tickets for 2017 schedule already.
Yeah.
As well as people who had season passes and, the more expensive ticket items, right? And they were understandably quite upset. So the first thing I had to do was just explain to them, look, guys, I'm a different company. I don't know what arrangement Battlefrog did. I don't know anything about the refunds, but I want you to be a supporter of our little company. And so I offered every single person who was due a refund a free ticket to any one of our events in the future, because I think it's important. Like the biggest ambassadors for this industry are the people who take part, and a lot of people, and then I responded to all of those, and then I did the name change, and of course, then everybody's like, "Hey, what's going on?" And people come from different angles. Some people understandably say, "You're Battlefrog and you're just rebranding, so where's our money?" And I had to say, guys, this is who I am, and this is where I'm from, and this is what we're doing. And try and just be open and respond to everybody, because you know what it's like. You don't respond to people, it just adds fuel to the fire. So, it wasn't easy. It was very tough for us. And ultimately, a lot of people were saying, but this is a different market. These are hardcore obstacle races. Why are you acquiring a page for a race that caters for, let's say, a more relaxed vibe, family vibe, and entry level? And sort of, it was a risk that I considered. And my thinking was, guys, you are the ambassadors for this industry. We're in this together. And there are a huge amount of companies that are closing at the moment. And if we want to keep this industry alive, then we all need to be ambassadors for the industry. And so we need to get more people doing these events. And there are tons of people who want to do obstacle events. We just need to give them the reason and give them the environment and bring them in, and we'll do it. So, it was a risk, but I firmly believe the Battlefrog folks will come around and they will go, you know what, we'll bring our kids to this event. We'll encourage other people, our friends who want to do obstacle events, to come and try out the Urban Trials. So ultimately, I think it'll be a win.
Excellent. Yeah, and I've got a question about, so I've read your website, I've read all of that, and you mentioned something about the integration of technology in your events into the event, and you've got an app or something you've been developing, and so can you talk a little bit about that, and about, is it going to be available for iOS, Android, all that sort of stuff as well?
Sure. So I really believe that the industry has been going for 5-6 years now, and we're getting to a point where companies need to iterate and evolve and stay fresh with their product. And I think that when you look at the youngsters and the youth of today who want to do these events, when we were young and wanting to get into racing, and that there were no apps, there were no smartphones. Mm-hmm. And if you look at how we grew up, we didn't grow up with those things. But today's children are growing up with iPads, they're all growing up with iPhones, and they're deep into their apps and technology. And if you look at the statistics of people who run 5K fun runs, over 80% of them run with a smartphone, which is amazing. So my thinking was, if they're running with a smartphone, why not just get them to use it? And in our test event in 2015, we proved that people really enjoyed doing the mental stuff. So it's a natural sort of progression. So how's it going to work? I think what we're going to do is we're going to start by making it optional to use the app. We'll carry on doing the mental challenges as we did in our test event. So, there'll be physical clues, props along the way, which you can solve easily while you're running without the use of an app. But ultimately, I think, there are so many other cool little features that you can do in an app with the mental stuff. So I'll give you an example. If you are going over a set of monkey bars, our monkey bars are different colors. Each bar is a different color. So when you arrive, say you're a team of 4, okay, and you arrive at a set of monkey bars, the phone's going to know this team is at the monkey bars. And you're going to put a little code in, and the timer is going to start, and you're going to go over the monkey bars. And as you're going over the monkey bars, you're going to see they're different colors. And you're going to jump off the other side, and the phone's going to buzz, and it's going to say, how many of the monkey bars were red? How many were blue? How many were orange? And how many were white? So what you'd probably do is you'd say to your team, okay, mate, you count the blue ones, I'll count the white ones, and you count the red ones. And you go over and you solve the puzzle together. And when the answer is correct, the timer will stop. So then your team gets, 3 minutes completed the monkey bars. And if you can imagine that with 15 different obstacles, you're going to end up with a time taken for each obstacle, right? and the winner will be the person or team who completes the entire course in the least amount of time. So there's a game, fun. You can do awards. You can do awards for the team or person who did the monkey bars in the quickest time. Not only that, you can actually take that data and compare it against every city in the US. So you can say, I've set the record for monkey bars in the whole of the US because I can see what the fastest was in each city. So there's some really, really cool stuff. But so we'll start slowly, iOS app first, and then we'll as people get into it and as we grow, we'll bring the Android out, and then we'll keep growing. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I hope it works.
Well, excellent. And remind everybody where you guys are going to be for Urban Trials in 2017.
So our hope is to get 10 to 15 events out. So what we've done is we've started with Cincinnati, Louisville, Columbus, Cleveland, and Fort Wayne. So very much within the 400-mile bubble of Cincinnati, which is where we're based. And, we've got a great community in this area, a great running community, a great OCR community. And we've literally in the last week just started going to market, opening entries, started getting our PR machine going. And so, we've given ourselves at least 6 months to try and get our numbers up, and we want to tap into the whole race local vibe by promoting other local races. So for me, it's really important that I promote, say, for instance, a Black Swamp run or an Indian mud run, because ultimately the success of this industry is going to rely on us all supporting each other. So I'm really not going to compete with anybody. I'm not interested in it. I'd rather support everybody. So that's our plans for 2017. And then obviously we'll get down to, the plan is for the end of the year, get down to Florida, get down to Texas. But it very much depends on our early success and being able to get the numbers in this Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky region.
Definitely. Well, Darren, thanks so much. I mean, I feel like we've cleared up a lot of the questions maybe people had going into the last week. I know you guys put out a press release as well, and we, Mud Run Guide, we mentioned it on OCR News Weekly, but it's been great just to talk to you and be able to talk through all these questions that people had. So thanks so much for joining us.
Absolute pleasure. And, we're only getting started, still finding our feet. So I really appreciate, that you've given us a platform to speak to everybody. So thank you.